Business. Hello everybody, how you doing today? It's a new day, it's a fresh day. I hope you're up, shaking and baking. I always say that all my guests are fascinating people, and this one is no exception. I've got to be this guy is my namesake, funny enough. Paul, I hope I'll get the pronunciation of your last name right. His name is John Paul Ihuha. Did I get it right?
You did excellently.
So let me read a bit of your bio so that I give some people some context. It's a long bio, I won't finish it, but it's very strong. John Paul Ihuha is a business strategy and specialist. John Paul is a business strategy specialist and management consultant. He makes it easier and faster to start and grow businesses. Known as the Activator, he works with entrepreneurs to fix tough business problems and unlocks the potential of startup and growth stage businesses. For more than a decade, for those of you whose mathematics is bad, a decade is 10 years. For more than a decade, he has helped dozens of entrepreneurs start new businesses, raise funds, grow sales, optimize business models, and solve human capital and growth problems. His clients are active in industries that range from agribusiness and tech to retail, healthcare, manufacturing, energy, financial services, and other sectors. John Paul has an interesting background that cuts across engineering, businesses, and finance. He's an alumnus of PwC, where he worked as a consultant in the business advisory and performance improvement practice. He holds a degree in mechanical engineering. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. And now see why you think the way you think. A diploma in accounting and business, and qualified as a chartered accountant with ACCA. I'll leave it at that, Mr. John. Welcome to the podcast. I first encountered you on TikTok.
Okay.
I heard a guy giving a list of people you should listen to on TikTok, and your name was on that list. And as I entered your timeline, I was just soaked in. I was like, yo, this guy is good. So I saved a couple of your videos. I was watching them. Then I now noticed that someone interviewed you on a podcast. I said, no, I need to get this guy to come and talk. And I send you a DM, and then we're here. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Thank you for coming.
For having me. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to start first by asking a question. Why do businesses start small and stay small? They say start small but don't stay small, grow big. But why do businesses start small and they still stay small?
Okay, so I would bring it down to two main reasons. The first is capacity. The second is fear. And the second one may sound woo-woo, that sort of thing where, just overcome your fears and all that, but it is not that simple. I sit on the advisory board of a green tech company that out of Uganda, and we had our meeting yesterday. And why I'm saying this is that what the question you just asked has, a parallel with that, which is we're talking about growing in 2025 and moving this business to the next level.
Okay.
When people talk about growing a business, they only look at the front end. More customers, more sales, more money, more profit. In fact, some will say more popularity. People will know us, Instagram account, Facebook account. When people think of growing, they only see front end. More money, more size, more scale.
Yeah.
But a business, I often liken it to the human body. If you go and grow your muscles and grow your core, but your backbone is weak, you are going to struggle. And the backbone of every business is the operations. If you go out and you make more sales, you raise a lot of money from investors, and you're advertising, you want to get more customers and all that. What it means is that if you want 10 times more customers, the big question is, do you have the operational capacity to serve 10 times more customers? Because one of the controversial things I've said that some people have said, you know what, I don't agree. And I'm like, go and try it out for yourself. There are two times a business can die. The first time is in the beginning. Most businesses die in the beginning. They are not able to grow because they are struggling with sales, they run out of capital and all that. The second time businesses die is when they are growing. And when they are growing is that they are making all these promises. They are now getting interest and requests and orders and sales that are beyond their capacity. So things are falling apart. The quality of the product drops. Customer service cannot keep up. All other issues are coming up that they are not prepared for. So all of a sudden, it leads to reputational damages. It damages the brand. Referrals kick in, negative referrals kick in, and then the business dies. So that is it for capacity. Capacity can kill a business because as one person, as a one-man show, there's a lot of control that comes with having a one-man business. And I don't agree with people who think you must grow and scale. There are people who are perfectly fine, many of them clients, who are perfectly okay remaining a one-man small business.
I like that.
Because they don't want all the things that will come with growth. And I respect those people because they are realistic. They don't have the rose-colored spectacles that most people have when they're always thinking of growth, right? So it's fine if that is what you want. But if you want to grow, you need to realize what is involved. You need to grow the operational capacity and backbone for growth. What do I mean by operational capacity and backbone? Some concrete things like a team. As a one-man show, you can run your business to a certain size. But once it grows beyond a certain size, you now need specialists. You have to step aside as the general who does sales, marketing, procurement, customer service, and everything. You have to start getting people on board to specialize and divide the labor so that you can take on more. For some people, that is a hurdle. Because it comes with all sorts of issues. Trust issues. Do you know how to handle the right person? Accountability. You want to be in control. You want to be in charge. You don't have the time and the patience to coach people into the job. And that's a separate level of skill that you need. And if you don't grow that, if you are being a one-man show and an entrepreneur is different from being a manager and it's different from being a leader. A leader can put a vision. A manager can only manage the capacity that you have. But if you want to go from where you are to the next level, you need to transform and evolve from an entrepreneur, a gifted one, into a leader, and then also a manager. That sort of thing. So that's for capacity. The second part is fear, and I've already touched on it quite a bit because the thing is, what will you meet on the other side of growth? If, for example, it requires raising additional capital, because you cannot grow with the capital you have. Some people are not comfortable going to a bank for a loan or talking to people to invest in their business because they cannot come up with the idea of, I've always controlled this business 100%. Are you telling me if I raise 50 million, somebody will come and start challenging me and telling me what to do? So I can't. So you see that they are not ready for it because there are certain things, there are certain privileges and controls they are not willing to give up. So in my line of work, when somebody says I want to grow, the thing I throw back at them is, are you willing to pay the price of growth? Because it comes at a cost. It comes it will question your personal development. Because at some point, you have not been accountable. In fact, the business account is your account. You just dip in your hand into the account. You are living a good life. But now, if you bring in people into the business, you cannot lead by that example because you'll be giving the impression that, this business is just a till. If a guy is not accountable, why should I? There's even a level of discipline that comes into growing a business because instead of, now that you're one-man show, you don't need to wait until the end of the month before you dip your hand into the business. You are running your personal life from the business coffers. If you bring people on board and you are setting up processes, you have to learn to live with the discipline of waiting until the end of the month before you get your own pay. Some people are not ready for that. So I guess that it's a combination of these two things. Some people don't have the capacity and are not willing to build the capacity for growth. They're happy where they are. And on the other hand, some people are afraid of what they will find on the other side of growth. So essentially, that is why I think many businesses remain one-man and one-woman businesses.
Fantastic. I was watching one of your videos today and you were talking exactly about this, today, how when you start first, you are a generalist, but at some point you will need specialists to do that. Now, if somebody starts a business, do you advise? Some people say, run your business like you are going to sell it, even if you're not going to sell it. But that mindset, at what point do you advise people to start delegating? And what are the foundational things that should be on ground before people start bringing in the specialists? Should they start to develop their SOPs first, their standard operating procedures, even if they are a one-man business, acting as if the business is a big business? What's your take on acting as if you are going to sell this business tomorrow, even if you don't sell the business tomorrow? That kind of mindset.
Okay, so besides selling your business, there are also other motivators that will make you want to properly structure the business. For example, if it's going to be, if you see this business as a legacy business, a business that will further your family name, a business that one day your kids are going to take over, right? You don't want to make it messy. You want to properly structure it. Even though that will lead us down another line, which is that many of the legacy businesses I see now, even the kids you are preparing the business for are not interested in running a
Anyone?
spare parts business, a manufacturing business. The kids are now looking at, oh, music is more interesting, technology is more interesting, green energy is more interesting. So, um, on a different note, I watched a podcast that Coach Charis was on recently, and I was surprised. The man said that if somebody gives him a good amount, he will sell the company. And he doesn't think that his kids are there yet. You can imagine.
Oh my goodness. That guy is very tough, man. I've listened to him. He's very tough.
This is somebody who is building a legacy business, but he's saying even though his kids are involved in the business, he doesn't see anyone yet who can take that mantle, and that if he sees the opportunity for a buyout, he will sell rather than see what he has built go down. So to answer your question directly, not your delegation has to be properly timed and sequenced. If not, you might run into a trap that I often see some clients and some people do, which is that you get to the point where you want to start delegating, you delegate, then you're not feeling that sense of withdrawal. And sometimes you just hurriedly go back and take back the work you asked people to do. Either because you're not doing it well, or because you are feeling this loss of a sense of control. So
Or they're too emotionally attached to the task.
you're emotionally attached. And these are people who go by very old mantras that I think it's time we need to start challenging them. One of those mantras is, if you want something done well, you better
Do it yourself.
that is usually a mental block for anybody who wants to grow. Another one is, nobody is going to build your business like you. Everybody is selfish. So there's nobody that will look after your business like you. So better just mind your business. You see, all these things they sound very interesting. They are very punchy lines, but they significantly undermine or sabotage any efforts you are making towards building a system.
That's right.
Because, what we are building here is a system. And if we really think about the nature of a system is something that doesn't depend on any one part. So we can think about it like a stool. I would rather sit on a stool that has 3 legs than a stool that has 1 leg. Because if something happens to that 1 leg, everything comes crashing down. And you can see it happening. There are many businesses where the owner cannot afford to fall sick, cannot take a vacation. If they are bereaved, they lose somebody close to them. They cannot spend too much time being bereaved, because the business can actually not run without them. Sales and cash flows will just halt if they are not in the picture. That's the sign of a weak system. And another feature of this kind of system is that, even when you talk about SOPs, the one-man business in Ladipo that is selling spare parts, or the guy that is selling electronics in the main market or in Alaba International, they all have SOPs for their business.
Really?
I'm telling you, and I'm going to explain how. If you see them trying to import 4 containers from China, this guy is in his shop, and he's going to run that entire operation until the container lands at the port, gets to his warehouse, is offloaded, and he starts selling in his shop. That is international trade for you. You cannot afford to run that kind of operation without SOPs.
But it's not documented.
Kind of SOP. The SOP is inside here.
Yeah.
He knows that the moment he wants to order that container, he calls Liu on WhatsApp. Then he makes the order with Liu. Then he calls his bank manager and they fill the Form M. And then he knows all these things are inside his head.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel comfortable delegating it is that he feels he doesn't have systems on ground. But I'm saying no. The systems are not on ground. They are in your head. We just need to bring them out from your head and start handing them over to certain people. Up until the point where you're comfortable enough to ask somebody, okay, you can now run this entire operation.
I see.
So SOPs exist. It's just the same way the colonizers would have said that Africans are not civilized, because we did not write. We didn't have writings. So we could not transmit knowledge from one generation to another. But you know that's a big lie. We had a different form of communication. It was oral. So the SOPs that the one-man business is using is just a different type. A corporate organization will have SOPs in some drive somewhere on paper, always doing awareness programs and training for their staff. The one-man business has an SOP. It's inside his head. And because it's in his head, he's the only one that sees the full picture. He's the only one that knows when things are falling apart. And that's why he doesn't want to hand over that responsibility, because you are not inside his head. So you're not seeing what he's seeing. So when you start to mess up, it tells you to step aside, and then he will take back control of it.
Wow.
Yes. So that's what it is.
In fact, some companies actually sell SOPs as a proprietary product. I'll give you an example. Someone was telling me years ago that there was an influx of Protea Hotel in Nigeria. They've left the country now. Yeah. The person said that a lot of this Protea Hotel that you see, Protea Hotel is not a hotel. It is a management company. They are so good at the system of running hotels that people say, take this hotel, put your name on it, and just run it.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can actually, I can actually productize a system and actually even begin to sell it. Now
sorry, can I mention something? I think there's also a danger, because there's this trend now of everybody talking about system structure, SOPs. In the last 13 years, I have worked on different engagements where I helped to set up the so-called systems, policies, SOPs, and all that. And unfortunately, more than 60% of these people, once the engagement is over, that thing ends up on a hard drive somewhere or inside a locker somewhere.
They don't use it.
They cannot use it. So what use is it that you have an SOP that only exists on paper? So that's why whenever I talk about these things, I try my best to divorce the idea of SOPs as being something on paper. SOPs are just arrangements of how we work. Those arrangements may be verbal, they may be based on responsibilities, they may be based on timing, but we just know that if we want to do this, what are the steps between now and when that thing is completed? So you can even run a business without having the SOP on paper anywhere. The main benefit of paper is that you then institutionalize that knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, such that if you lose staff or something happens, the next person can just digest that thing and take off. Yes.
I mean, it is the institutionalized system. That's why McDonald's can be a multi-billion-dollar business, almost $1 trillion business, because a secondary school child can run a McDonald's branch.
Yes.
They just follow the blueprints.
Yes.
They just follow the blueprints, and it just works. So, with the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, ChatGPT, and technology, let me ask this question first before I come to that. You've worked in consulting in PwC. Now you're running your own business. You coach, you work with businesses. For businesses that do well, what are some of the characteristics? And the ones that are red flags, that this one is voila. What are some of those characteristics as well? So that listeners can say, okay, if I want to have a successful business, I need to adopt this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Okay. So even as you're asking this question, I'm already seeing them in my mind. Those clients who do well are the ones who struggle. The ones the businesses that struggle, the problems start from the foundation. Right? There are external factors and there are internal factors. An external factor, for example, is you are starting a business in a market you don't understand. You just heard that it's moving. In fact, you make money in that business. And you know the way it is here in Nigeria and in Africa. Everybody just jumps on the trend. Oh, so they say pure water business is moving. People drink water all the time. There's no way you start a pure water business and that business has one of the highest casualty rates in the country. Yes. You see? And it's shocking because water is something that everybody drinks. So how does it make sense that you are in a business that sells an essential commodity that is vital for human life? Still, businesses are failing. So, and that's because they don't understand what is involved in that kind of business. It's a unique market. So for pure water, for example, what will kill you is not that your product will not sell, that people don't want your product. What will kill you is competition and distribution. If you want to make it in pure water, if you can crack competition and distribution, boom, you are short. It just breaks down the walls between you and your customers, and it becomes a cash production machine. But what kills many businesses is they just think the moment you have pure water, boom, that will not work. So that's it. Not understanding your market can be a problem. On the channel side, there are structural issues. One would be using the wrong kind of capital to start a business. So,
what do you mean?
Yeah, there's this thing I teach, which is that when you want to start a business, the kind of capital you take can either be fertilizer or poison. Two people
Never heard
want
that.
to start a business, and they say, I need 10 million naira to start this business. I give 10 million to man A, I give 10 million to man B. Man A goes ahead to succeed because the money helps him. Man B actually fails, and what killed the business is the money I gave him. Now, the difference is this. There's no such thing as, I want to start a business, I need 10 million, or I need 100 million. Money has flavor, and there are three main flavors. The first one is equity. Equity can either be your own money or money you raise from outside. If you raise it from outside, the person is giving you the money to own a share of that business you want to start. The other thing about equity is that the person doesn't need their money immediately. In fact, the way equity works is, if your business succeeds, the equity holder gets a share of profit. And if you sell the company, they get a share of the proceeds. But if your business fails, the equity provider loses their money. That's the way equity works. Equity wins when you win and loses when you lose.
So it's very binary.
Yeah, very binary. Debt is not like that. If you take a loan, debt is elitist. Debt doesn't care whether you succeed or fail. You must pay back. You must pay back. Good. So, and then the third flavor is a grant. That big uncle who's in the US that says, I've been trying to help you, want to start this business, and I take this 10 million, use and support yourself. He doesn't want anything back from you. Essentially, that's what we'll call, in street terms, somebody dashing you money, or somebody sowing into your business. That's a grant. Unfortunately, many people are praying and hoping for the third type. But that is the least, in terms of supply, it is the most limited in supply. Because it's not practical that people just keep dashing you money, particularly if you want to use it for business. So that leaves us with only two practical options, equity or debt. When you are starting a business, you need to realize the nature of the psychological status of somebody who is starting a business. You are about to take a risk, and you are working on the basis of an assumption. I want to start a business that sells school bags. Because I think in this area, there are a lot of young people
that we need it.
They will sell. It's an assumption, it's not a fact. You've not even sold one bag. You are just assuming that you will sell. The worst thing you will do is to raise a loan on the basis of an assumption. Why? If your assumption is wrong, you are still going to pay back that loan. So that is what, it will not just kill your business, but it will now get into your personal realm. You have to now pay back the loan from your personal funds. Whether you sell a house or a car, depending on the extent to which you've committed yourself to that loan, you are essentially in trouble. So if you're going to start a business, you don't want to take the traditional vanilla flavor loan. The vanilla flavor loan is the one that the banks give. I'm giving you 10 million, you pay back in 2 years. Every month, you'll be paying back 300,000 naira. Every month. That's the traditional vanilla flavor loan. If you are starting a business, there's no guarantee that you will sell in your first 30 days. But in your first 30 days, you
have to pay the bank.
300,000.
Yes.
Where will that money come from?
Yes.
So even if you are going to touch a loan, you cannot touch the way the banks give you. What you need is a loan that behaves like equity, which is, take this loan, pay me back in 6 months' time or 1 year time.
Very good.
That gives you breathing space. You know you have 6 months to go and hustle and make this business work. You know you have 1 year. But if it's the 30-day cycle and all you have is optimism and hope, that's really what damages. That's really what damages people. This then moves me to the other side of, if you already have a business that is doing well, you already have a business. You've been running this business for the past 18 months. You sell school bags.
Yeah.
And so far, your sales have been, last year you made 5 million. This year you're on track to make 7.5. There's money coming in.
Yeah.
You can now, on that basis, go and take a loan for 10 million because there's this other location you think that is strategic, and if you open a new branch, you will sell well. And based on the loan, they are telling you that every month you need to pay back 300,000. Now you know that every month you make more than 300,000. You can
Yeah.
take care of that loan.
Yeah.
So if you already have an existing business, there's no point asking somebody to give you 10 million as equity and own 50% of your.
Oh, your business. Yeah.
I'm even looking for that kind of deal because it's a sweet deal. You're investing equity in a money machine. So when your business is already a money machine, you'll be shortchanging yourself by going to take equity because equity is about sharing risk. But you're already making money. There's not much risk remaining. So that
What about if the person that's giving you the equity has a lot of network, has a lot of distribution? I mean, you see them in Shark Tanks. In Shark Tank, they will say, okay, we'll take equity in your business because you will tap into our network. The person has a lot of expertise. How do you balance that?
So if you are raising money only for a financial play, and you're already an existing thriving business,
Yes.
the loan is your best factor, purely on financial grounds.
Great.
If you are looking for a strategic play, you're
That's
not
right.
just looking for money.
Yes,
just
sir.
access to markets,
Yes.
access to key relationships.
Yes.
Then equity is solid because equity is not just a loan is purely financial.
Yes.
Attached, but equity
It's a hybrid of money and network.
Exactly, yes. There's more that can come with equity
Yes.
besides just money. So, and that's another reason why equity makes sense for you as a new business. As a new business, you need more than money.
That's
You
right.
need help with marketing. You need
Yes.
help with good staff. You need help with
Yes.
suppliers, distributors, and all that. So, once you make this mistake in the beginning, and you get the amount of money you're looking for. You hear most people, oh, if I just get 10 million, I'll start that business. From what I've just told you, you can get 10 million as poison. And if they ask you, did you get the money? You say, yes, I got the money. But I can already tell that this business is doomed because you raised the wrong kind of capital. So these are just examples of things that can, on the internal side too, one of the reasons why businesses crumble is when there's no alignment or shared vision between the co-founders. I've seen good friends go into business, right? They shared it. They're like, oh, we're going to conquer the world. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. When all you have is an idea, friendship is sweet. But the moment money is involved,
money starts coming in.
once the money starts, and sometimes it's not about greed, though. It's just somebody saying, I think we should follow this direction. I think we should go B2B. Let's sell B2B because our prospects are. And you're like, no, I disagree. The way this thing is going, B2C is our best option. Just a disagreement on strategic grounds. Ego now comes in. After I have a master's, I'm the one who got this idea first. You came in before you know what's happening. The business is viable. There's potential. But because there's division internally, it cannot work. So these are just examples of how things can go wrong at the beginning stage. Of course, as you start to grow the business, other things can.
Wow, this is a powerful masterclass. John, I mean, you've worked in consulting, you work with businesses. In what way has consulting helped you in your own consulting business now? So
the big benefit I had was maybe this is a good time to give some kind of background. As you read in my profile, my first degree is in engineering, right? And out of school, I actually thought I had 2 major scholarships in university, one from Chevron, one from Mobile. So in my mind, I always thought, it's going to be the oil industry. I got to the final stages, like I met the director level at Mobile House for the recruitment level. So even while I was in PwC, I thought, I'm just here to just learn and just while away time. I'm just waiting for the real thing, right? But then the Exxon thing did not mature, even though I got to that final level. But the good thing, it turned out to be an opportunity in disguise, which is that I've always admired business from a distance. Even while studying engineering, I realized in my second year, after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, that as an engineer, I'm just going to be a piece in an entire machine. But there are these guys who call the shots at the top, and they understand what a business is. How engineering fits into procurement, into finance, supply chain, and the rest of that. So, but I didn't know how I was going to penetrate it from a formal side, and this is why. I come from a family of business people. My dad was a businessman. right? But the perception of business for me was business is what you do when you are unable to find a job. Yeah. Business is what you do when you're not smart enough to find a job and wear a suit and live a good life. So business is for those people who cannot make it into corporate employment, right? But then the reorientation I got was that there are two channels to business. You can go into business from the streets, and you can go into business from school. And I had the benefit of seeing the two of them. Because what consulting does for you is that it helps you to build mental models around how things work, how sales should work, how financing works, how everything comes together to build a big picture. That's one thing it does for you. The second thing it does for you is that, at least for the good ones, for the ones who get the proper training, is that it humbles you and puts you in problem seeking and problem solving mode. So, and there's a big difference. If you are in solution mode, you don't let your clients talk because you already know what their answer is. What are they talking about? What do you need them to tell you about? When you are the expert, you don't, right? But if you're in problem seeking mode, you know that problems come in different sizes and flavors.
Yeah.
And if I don't understand the problem, I cannot help this client. So what it then means is that consulting is 80% listening and 20% action. Because a good consultant spends most of their time sharpening their axe.
Yeah.
Not just assuming that you have an axe and you just go everywhere, you're just striking left, right, and center. So if there's one big benefit the consulting experience has given me, is the ability to actually listen.
Yeah.
Not just to what the person is telling me, but with what they are struggling to tell me, but they cannot find. So if I'm able to get into their minds and understand exactly what it is that is troubling them, the feedback I often get is, John Paul, sometimes I just feel like you're inside my mind, or like before I say it. So that's a big benefit. And sometimes too, you're with a client and they're talking, and it turns out you don't say anything. They tell you about the problem, and you're just leaving them on with it. And then what happened? And then okay, and then and before the end of the session, they arrive at the solution by themselves.
Yeah, that's coaching. Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to act as a guide, not as a solution provider. They already have the solution, but you just need to help them structure their thinking so that they can make that connection. And there is nothing more beautiful than when somebody has a problem makes the connection.
Yeah.
The motivation to actually solve the problem
becomes they own the solution.
Prescriptions. Go and do this. So I don't like prescriptive consulting because it makes me feel like I assume what you are struggling with. But if we get to the solution together, the likelihood that you will follow through and implement and take ownership is much higher.
That's very powerful. Someone once said that questions are doors, answers are walls.
Yes. Good. Another way of putting it, statements close the mind. So for example, I cannot raise capital to grow my business. It's a statement. It closes your mind. It doesn't trigger your creativity, nothing. It dooms you to victimhood. I cannot raise capital. So what it means is that, I'm doomed. But just flip it and add a question mark. How can I raise capital to grow my business? Boom, your mind is open. You're not thinking of options. Oh, should I try a bank? Should I try partnerships? Should I do crowdfunding? So questions, just like you said, open the mind. Statements are like walls that just close the mind and doom you to your position. Yeah.
Very, very, very. This is a very fascinating conversation. I like the podcast to be about 40 minutes so that because people don't really have time to listen to stuff. John, I mean, you've shared so many things. I want to ask you two more questions before I let you go. What's the one book that you have bought for people the most or recommended for businesses to read?
That would be there are two of them actually. There's Winning by Jack Welch, former CEO of GE.
Yeah.
And there's Influence, Science and Practice. What's his name again? He used to be in University of California also.
Is it Robert Cialdini?
Yeah, exactly. That's the book. Yeah. It's one of those books. there are many books we read and then we forget what the content is. But it's a book I do not forget because I was able to coin a model that still helps me remember what's going on in there. That if you want to influence people, whether it's in sales, you're trying to raise money, you're trying to get consensus or collaboration, it's an acronym, SCALS. So S is for scarcity. The more scarce something is, the more attractive it is.
Yeah.
C is for consistency. The more people are consistent with what they want, the more likely it is that they will follow through.
Yeah.
A is for authority. There's a reason why when somebody is selling you toothpaste, they're always wearing their white lab coat.
Yes.
Even though that's an actor, but because they look like a doctor, you're more likely to follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
R is for reciprocity. If you do something for somebody, there's a human compulsion to want to do back for you.
Yeah.
F is for likeness. If people like you, it's more likely you'll get something that you're asking.
Yeah.
And S is for, what was the second S? Scarcity, and I don't quite remember what social proof. Yes. The more people who say that something is good, the more likely it is that people will want to try it, which explains the Amazon model. That when
Of reviews.
that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's been almost 15 years since I read that book.
Yeah. That guy, Robert Cialdini's book was so seminal that before Charlie Munger died, he and his partner, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, they gave him shares in their business.
Oh, wow.
Because of that book, yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Because of that book.
Beautiful book, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful
So
book.
let me circle back on that thing about social proof. So there's a particular client I've been trying to close, and he was not even answering my calls. At some point, I thought his phone was dead or missing or something. Then I have a broadcast list in my WhatsApp of every client that I've done business with that do over $1 billion.
Okay.
So every now and then I share information for them because they are rich men, they're big men. And there's a client I'm working with. In the first quarter of this year, only one of their salespeople did $42 million in sales.
Wow.
So I'm their sales coach. So when she sent me the testimonial, I screenshot the testimonial without putting her name. Then I dropped it in that WhatsApp group. This guy that does not answer me immediately called me, chatted me up. He said, "Which industry is this people?" I told him, the man has okay, that thing that you have been talking about, hey, send me your account number again. Let's start this coaching. So yeah, you're very right. It is usually more psychological than we think. But do you have like a course, a online class? Because you know so much. Where do people go? Where do people learn? I want to put a link in the show notes for people to get your stuff, buy your stuff. You're like a course or a book or something. A program coming up.
The best place would be my website, activatorhq.com.
Okay.
Activatorhq.com. And then about 18 months ago, I did a sharp pivot to a social media strategy first. All this while, in the past 10 years plus, I've always been website first, like most people. So if you want to know anything about website, but people are not on websites. People are on social media.
Yes.
Marketplaces.
Yes.
So I'm now much more active across the 6 social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So
Okay.
yes, and I'm at JP Iwoha.
So what I'll do, I'll just put like, you know how, I don't know why you have a link tree in your stuff that has all your links in one place.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I have a link tree. Yes.
So I'll just put that and say anybody that wants more of your information should come. I always ask my guests one more question. If you could recommend one person to come on the podcast, say, Paul, you need to speak to this person. Who would that person be?
Must the person be Nigerian, African?
No, I can't get anybody.
Oh.
I can't get anybody.
But I was going to ask, do you only interview like Africans or Nigerians?
No, I've interviewed Spencer Lodge. Spencer Lodge has done $200 million. He's British. He lives in Dubai. I've interviewed Rob Moore, the man that wrote books about money. He's one of the biggest landlords in the UK.
Okay.
Rob Moore is very popular. So there's nobody I can't.
Have you had a Niger brand chick on the podcast?
No, I've interviewed her on my Instagram, but I've not interviewed her on the podcast. If you know her, you can send her a message.
I think she's somebody I met recently, and I find her really remarkable in terms of what she does, and very humble person, very fantastic, very smart person, always willing to learn. You know, So Nelly, yes, I would happily. That is the person I would recommend.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul, for coming on the podcast. I'm going to stop recording now, and then we can just. This is good. 40 minutes. Very.